Hey everyone, Lisa here, your wellness and well-being coach at lisampepe.com and a wellnessawakening.com. And today I'm going to talk about health freedom and what it means to you and definitely what it means to me. But before I get started, remember, everything I say in this video is my opinion only, and you can take what you will and leave what you won't. And I will do my best to just share my opinion and suggest that you go look and research yourself on certain things. And who knows, maybe you'll get a takeaway or two and something will resonate with you. But if it doesn't, like I said, no worries, just skip on to the next video or just cover your ears, and hopefully you will find something along the way that you can actually use, or that you might say, hey, I might want to think about that a little bit more. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here just to share my opinion on wellness and well-being. I do a lot of research myself, and I always make sure that I look at different sides of things, and I try to relay that to you, not always doing a screen share, but today I'm actually going to try to do one of those and see how it goes. But just know that anything I say is not meant to diagnose or cure any disease you may or may not have. So on that note, let me put my glasses on so I can see, and I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully this will work. And there it goes. Okay, here we are. Hopefully y'all can see that. So, I was doing a lot of research because I'm actually pretty concerned about the fact that I'm starting to see bills that are being considered in different states and maybe even on the federal level that are going to affect our health freedom rights. And as most of you know, I am a health freedom, informed consent person who advocates for that, because I feel that it is important not just for each of our health, but also for actually the health of everyone. And you may say, well, what they're trying to do now is to protect everyone's health. But I see it another way. And the reason I see it another way is because what's good for one person is not always good for the other. So, I'd like to use an example of, an allergy you may have. So think of some kind of allergy or some kind of sensitivity you might have, or something that if you took it or were to partake in it would harm you. Think of something, just put it into your mind. Okay, you got it? Once you've got it, then picture somebody mandating that you do take, eat, or partake in that thing. And this may sound like a far out example, but when I was thinking about it, I thought about it and said to myself, well, we have informed consent laws in this country. We have the Nuremberg Code. We have, different protections and laws in place. We've got HIPAA, privacy rights, doctor-patient confidentiality. And as I'm looking at these bills, and I'm actually on a website now that I'm sharing my screen with you all, it's called the MDIC, and I'm looking at these bills that are going to be passed, and they kind of negate almost every single one of those. And whether you think this is a big deal or not, I urge you to reconsider and do some more investigating yourself, because it is a big deal, especially when a lot of states are trying to also oppose these bills, which is good, but it concerns me if one of them were to pass and set precedents for the entire United States. I don't think what's good for one is good for all, because, if you were to partake in that thing that you are allergic to or could harm you, well, then you're putting your own health at risk. And from what I'm gathering from everything that we've been experiencing, we're not as, at as big of a risk as you may think. And, I know that's up for discussion. I don't want to start any arguments here. I just want to get you thinking that, there are things behind the scenes that you're not being told if you're not doing the research, if you're not on alternative websites, or you're not using the DuckDuckGo browser or other browsers. You're not finding out the truth. You're getting one-sided, or, maybe just like half of the story. Okay. And, when I see bills, come across like, removal of religious exemptions to vaccinate vaccination requirements. So that means that they can vaccinate you. And even if there is a fetus, embryo, or any part of a human body that is used in the research or the processing or the production of that vaccine, that you cannot refuse it. Now that, may sound like, well, what do you mean, Lisa? That can't be happening. Or the new mRNA vaccine doesn't have any of those in it. Well, the companies that are manufacturing them are involved in things, even if they're not putting it into the vaccine itself, they're involved in things that actually test on, and I don't want to go down that road because it is kind of a little bit too much for me to say in my videos, but they do use different cells and different parts from humans or babies that, God rest their soul, but are no longer with us. So, that in itself, somebody might have, a religious objection to using something that derived from one of those sources, or one of those sources was used in the making of, or possibly even the company themselves are involved in something that uses those. Maybe it's not in that particular vaccine. So I don't think that exemption, religious exemption, should be null and void, personally. You know me, I'm a very spiritual person. I was born and raised Catholic. I do go to a Christian church. And I do believe that we should have the right to object if we want to using or partaking in that type of a medical procedure that uses those things. But here we are. If you look at the top of the page in Connecticut, now this is an action needed page. This is the MVIC.org telling you what is coming up in different states, different bills, and what you should oppose and what you should support based on what they think. This does not mean that you personally should oppose or support, but you can take a look at it and you can click on it and you can see for yourself what the bill says. And if you scroll down a little bit more, you can actually see that actually the second line, Washington, D.C. wants to vaccinate minors and not tell the parents. And that's basically what that bill is about, or resolution. And we are opposing it, or they are opposing it in DC. So they're telling you here to support the resolution to oppose the bill that they're trying to pass, where they're just literally going to say that your children can get vaccinated in school and they don't have to tell you, and they're going to tell your children or the children not to tell their parents. This may sound far-fetched, but again, these are actual bills or resolutions, or this is legislature that is trying to go, they're trying to get it through in each state. So you might want to take a look and see what's going through, or what has gone through in your state already, and try to oppose it, or at least get on a committee that can oppose it, or go online and find out where you can actually fill out. They have forms you can fill out on, certain groups like this group. If you click through, you can actually get to your state and you can sign up. And then when you want to oppose something, they tell you who to write to, who to email, and they'll tell you exactly, what to do to take action. So that's why I like this site. Now, I'm not anti-vax, total pro-vax. I'm staying right in the middle, because what I'm seeing is that health freedom and informed consent and other things that protect us are going away. That's my major concern here. If you want to get vaccinated, or you want to, take a medication, or if your doctor and you decide to go through with a medical procedure, that's entirely up to you. I totally support you in it, whatever you want to do. My problem comes when they're trying to force people, and they're being a little sneaky about it, and they're trying to put these bills through in the state without asking for a vote from all the people who live in that state, let alone the whole country. But let's just go state to state. if they want to pass something like this, I do think that they should be putting it on a ballot somewhere and having everybody vote for it, and at least informing everyone that this bill is up for review, and there's a lot of things that go on behind our backs in this country, but you can start on the state level, even the local level. If you're a parent, I just urge you to get involved at the school. I urge you to get on the board meetings. I urge you to go to the council meetings. It's going to be so important to see what your children are learning and what they're being exposed to, because they're trying to push these things through. So then, they're just going to bypass all the parents. They're just going to go right to the kids and tell the kids, you can't tell your parents. And don't worry, because the fact that you are vaccinated is private, and we won't tell your parents either. But yet they're willing to take away privacy rights from all the adults. Think about it. It gets a little crazy and it gets a little confusing, but if you really think it through, you'll see how insane all of this really is. Okay. Whether you believe, in vaccines or not, that's up to you. But to do it in this way, I think is totally underhanded. And again, let's just talk about like peanut allergies, right? I have a peanut allergy. I don't want to eat peanuts. They make my heart race. I break out in a rash all over, and my throat gets really scratchy. And thankfully, so far, has not closed up, but I've avoided them for a long time, so I'm okay. But, what if they say, hey, you have to eat peanuts? And I'll be like, no, I don't, because I'm allergic to them, right? And this could be anything. Think of something for yourself that you're totally allergic to or sensitive to, or something you just can't have, or something you would never do in a million years. Okay? And picture that being forced upon you. And if they're going to force everybody to eat peanuts, there's a certain amount of the population that are going to be harmed, could possibly even die from eating those peanuts, right? But if they're still trying to force the peanuts without even asking anyone, hey, are you allergic? Do you have any sensitivities? You can opt out, you can just have an exclusion, whatever it is. Well, then how is that fair, on the up and up, right, in anyone's mind? And I've seen people online say, well, if you don't do this, then you are selfish. Well, I have to say back to that person that if you expect every single person to take something that could harm them, could maim them, could even cause them to die, then you're being selfish by not being understanding enough to know that it's not one size fits all. So like I said, when I see these bills going through, I'm like, wait a minute, they don't know my medical history. They don't know anything about me. Here's one, let's see. So they want us to oppose in Maine. They have a rule that's going to force adult vaccine mandates. So we're going to oppose that. If you're in Maine, you can click on that one to oppose that. Let's see, let's do oppose. Let's see, in New Jersey, they want to require students and other children to get the annual flu vaccine. That's fine. But what if there are people who have to opt out because of allergies, sensitivities, religious beliefs, or any other exclusion that they need? They're not allowing too much room for these. As a matter of fact, they're making like another bill or bylaw that says, okay, you can't opt out no matter what. So you need to start paying attention to what's going on in your state, because I guarantee you're not going to like some of this, because I'm reading it, and thank God Florida only has like one, and it's really not that bad, but I'm going to be opposing it. So, I don't want anyone to force anything on anyone, because I believe in health and medical freedom. So, if you go down a little further, you'll see this is one. This would be the United States. There is a resolution, and look at the resolution number. It says, go down on the first row, go down to the US, and it's the second US one, 11/21/20, HR 6666. Now, maybe many of you have heard about this, the House resolution on the COVID-19 testing, reaching, and contacting everyone, the TRACE Act. Well, I don't think it's been passed yet, but knowing what's going on, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to pass it. So here it's saying to oppose it, so you can actually click on that to oppose it. What do you mean? You're going to base contact tracing on a test that they've already proven out to be inaccurate? You're going to, and they've been doing this for a year, and there have been many virologists and scientists, immunologists, and biologists, and even the gentleman who passed away the year before they started using this test for COVID-19 said this should not be used as a diagnostic tool. So basically you go and you get, the little swab stuck up your nose. And if you are positive, you get traced, you get called, you get, contact traced, and you get asked, who you've been around. And my fiance actually just had this experience when he flew up to New York on business. He is an essential worker. He has an essential worker letter and pass. And they contact traced him, and they told him that he was to give all the information. If he didn't fill out the form online, which was on his phone, that he could face a $10,000 fine. Everyone on the plane could. So then you're being forced and coerced into filling it out when you're trapped up in the air and you have no way to opt out. So basically you get on the plane, you're unaware of it, you're up in the air, getting ready to land. And right before they say, you have to fill out this form or you're going to have a 10,000 at 10,000 feet. They tell you you'll have a $10,000 fine, right? Well, yeah, you can fill it out when you get down on the ground as well, or when they hand out the paperwork. But they're saying that they're not going to let you off the plane unless you do. I mean, this is outrageous. This is crazy. I mean, think about it. It doesn't even make sense. They're entrapping you up in a plane and saying, if you don't fill out this form, you get a $10,000 fine, or you can't get off the plane. I don't even know how they're getting away with it at this point. So anyway, he fills it out online, and he gets a green check, probably because he's an essential worker, whatever. He doesn't have to quarantine, but they call him 2 days later and they tell him, we're contact tracing, and we think somebody on the plane might have tested positive. So he asks a question, oh, we can't give you that information. Well, who was it? Okay, well, where did they get tested? Were they, I was in first class. Were they all the way in the back of the plane? Did they get retested to see if they're really positive? Did they have symptoms? Were they diagnosed by a doctor? Oh, no, we can't answer any of those questions. We just suggest that you quarantine. He's like, I can't quarantine. I'm here for 3 days on business, and I am working to get a manufacturing plant up and running. Oh, okay, well, you really don't have to, but we just wanted to let you know. And then they started asking all these health questions, like personal questions. And he said he refused to answer a couple of them. They were very intrusive. So they're taking this information. This is a total stranger on the phone. You don't know where your information is going. And the laws so far, there's no law against it. So they're just taking it as far as they can. And you may think this is okay. And maybe you feel that if you were in that situation, you wouldn't have a problem with it. But think about this. When they come knocking on your door and they tell you you're not doing something correctly and you're going to be fined, you won't like it then. Just trust me. It's going to take some strong people to stand up to this and, make it fair for everyone, because and then they were asking him on the phone, they were asking him, who have you been in contact with, the last, I don't know how many days, 5 days, 7 days, whatever it was. And he said, that's none of your business. And she said, well, we need the information. We need their name. We need their phone number. He says, no, I refuse to answer that. And at this point, he can refuse to answer it. But what about one of these bills down here on this page, or even the other ones that are going through that are saying that you have to answer it or you're going to face a fine. You have to take a vaccine or you're going to lose your job. How is this? Seriously, I'm sorry, but if 3/4 of the people at any job location are vaccinated and the other quarter aren't, and they're basically healthy people, I don't think there's going to be a problem. Everybody says, oh, the vaccinations work. Well, that's another can of worms I won't get into right now. You might have been hearing stories already that they don't work as well or the way that they said they would when they got the emergency use authorization. So basically, but if you say they work and masks work and social distancing work, and you're doing all that, then what difference does it make if a handful of people are not vaccinated because they're allergic to or can't take the ingredients that are in the vaccination? This is, like I said, to me, it's a little bit insane. It's definitely, it goes against my God-given rights. It goes against everything I stand for. And I think we should have a choice. Informed consent says that they'll tell you everything about, the side effects and the ingredients and what you're going to be taking or partaking in. And they're not doing that for anyone. There are people walking in thinking it is a regular old-fashioned vaccine where they give you a little bit of the virus, your body reacts, and then you're done. And they're not telling them what the new mRNA vaccine actually does. And that's a little scary because a couple of people that I have read online on Facebook and such have said, if I knew that, I wouldn't have gotten it. I would have waited. Okay. So how is that informed consent? Again, start to really pick these things apart. Don't just take everything at face value. Don't just sit by and watch and just say, oh, it'll be all right. Oh, that would never happen, or they'll never do that, because it is happening. I mean, look on this page. I mean, if you scroll down, you can see even more. I mean, you've got like a ton in Alabama, a whole bunch of bills going through, Arizona, Connecticut, another one in DC, Florida's got a couple. Oh, that's a new one. There's a couple more in Florida. See, these are new. They just got put up there. So I'm going to have to look at all those. Georgia, Hawaii, Iowa. I mean, the list goes on and on. You see this? I'm scrolling down. These are all resolutions and bills that they are trying to pass in these states and the United States to mandate. It looks like vaccines. It looks like mandate programs. Employment requirements. I don't know if you know, but OSHA just threw out, I think that one of the girls that used to work there, I just saw an interview with her, they threw out about 40 years of cases and documentation and testing results to conform to the COVID-19 mandates. And that means this isn't a bad way, because they're fighting it right now, because they actually have all of the old pages. They actually updated their website and their reports to reflect, this whole thing. And while you can add that, you can't erase what was already there. So they're actually looking into that as being not on the up and up. You still have to have those things archived and available to the public somewhere. And same thing goes with the CDC. People have taken pictures of the pages all the way from years ago. And I don't know how many years back they went, but there's a way to go back and get those pages. And they've noticed the changes and the changes and the changes. And the CDC's been sued. And the people won, because they said, you can't change that in that way, because you're throwing away like years of study and facts or things that actually do work. You can't just change it. You have to say or you can't just say, whoop, let's just erase it, from memory, and it's no longer there. So some of the things they're trying to do with all these bills and pass all of the bills and resolutions is a little bit scary to me, because that is also going to erase a lot of what we know or think we know, right? So enough on that tangent. Basically, it's just health freedom. I should have the right to decide, what I put in my body and what I don't. And so should you. If you want to put things in your body that I don't, that's fine. I'm all for it, as long as you have informed consent and you're consenting to it and you're an adult and you know what's going on, the side effects that could happen, and you're okay with that, then that's fine. Go for it. But when they're starting to try to sneak these through to children and not inform the parents, I start to get worried, because that is not only underhanded, that just means to me that they're up to something. And I have to look into that. A lot of people just want this to go away and they want to ignore it. But when I look at this page and I look at the number of resolutions and bills they're trying to put through, this is not going to go away until they get their way. And I'm hoping they don't, because we do have a lot of opposing resolutions to try to say, hey, no, you can't do that. There's tons of lawsuits at the local and the city, the state, and the federal level right now that you're not even aware of, that people are battling it out, trying to, make the rules going forward. And I do suggest that we all get involved. And like I said, you can at least start at the NVIC. You may not agree with everything they say about vaccines, but you can at least get a grip on what's going on in your state. And maybe you can get involved by clicking on it. And like I said, they'll tell you who to write to. I've already clicked on a few, and I've gotten responses from our senators here in Florida and a couple of council members. So I'm hoping that, our voices are being heard. Again, it just seems totally absurd that they can put these things through. There's only a few people putting these things through, and they're saying that that's good for every single person in the state or the country. How can that be? Not everybody can eat peanuts. So you don't even know the person's medical history. You don't even know, what's going on, inside their body. You're not even speaking to their doctor or their health professional. You have no idea. So I will not take advice from somebody who doesn't know me and doesn't know my background or my medical history. I mean, it's insane that people are actually taking advice from experts on the news. Do you realize that they're getting paid to say what they're saying, and that they have to turn in what they're going to say, and that the producer or whoever it is that's in charge at the station edits it for them? A lot of times they actually tell them what to add or take out. It's crazy. And if you can't see that, don't trust the experts. Like I said, they're getting paid. They've got an invested interest monetarily. And if you think that these, pharmaceutical companies aren't heavily invested monetarily, you got another thing coming. Yeah, they're, working on great things to help, health and people's health, community health, whatever it is. But, when they start to say that nobody can opt out and they're going to force something on you, well, then there's something wrong with that, on all levels, many levels. And I won't even get into any of the others. Health freedom and my right, my God-given right, to choose what I put into my body and what I do with my body is mine. And if we lose that, I'm telling you, you're going to lose a lot of other rights along the way. And you may not think they're important to you, but one of them will be. What is it that they say, freedom of speech is not important until you have something to say, and it's the truth. But I hope I've at least shed some light on it to make it so that, you can at least check into it and see what's coming down the pike in your state or your area. I personally hope that we never go down that road completely. They're already talking about these vaccine passports and all of I think the clear people, the people who do clear in the airport. I used to be a member. I canceled my membership. They want to do health clear. So they're going to have all your medical records, and you're going to have, a certain number of vaccines before you can go places. And I don't know what they're going to do about exceptions, but right now they're trying to pass laws that actually, like I said, void your voice, void your, right to choose. It actually voids, your right to opt out of anything. And that's so far beyond where I thought we would be in this world these days. I didn't think here in my 50s I would be going through this. But I guess we are really in the fourth turn. And if you don't think that there are some people higher up in the meetings like the World Economic Forum and in Davos, which is coming up this May, you might want to start to tune into what they're saying, because they're actually, pushing all of the government agencies and all of the countries and a lot of corporations into this plan of theirs called the Great Reset. And while a lot of it sounds really nice, I guarantee you the way they're going to get there is not that fun for you or me, and is going to just make them richer. And it's going to cause a lot of problems for all of us people that are, working hard, or, whatever you want to call, any other class except the elite rich people, the billionaires and, trillionaires. It's going to cause a lot of problems for the rest of us. So think twice, go through this list. And if you want to contact me, get over to lisampepe.com. Like I said, there's a lot of freebies on my home page. And let's fight for our health freedom. And let's really start to get involved and see what's out there and what's, like I said, what's going to actually affect us. And try to at least, put your vote in through, like I said, this website's a great one because you can click on it and you can get, the information and become an advocate for, your state and the US. I think some of them, there are petitions as well going around that are actually opposing some of these bills that they're trying to push through. And they're trying to do it behind people's backs because who would know about it? You might hear a little blip on the news, but if it affects you, I would say research it a little bit further and look into it. Okay. So fight for health freedom. We want informed consent and we want the right to choose. I don't want to eat peanuts if it's going to send me into anaphylactic shock and possibly kill me, and I shouldn't have to, and neither should you. So, however you feel about vaccines, nobody should ever be forced to take a medical procedure, let alone one that's actually still under like a trial experimentation. And it is, because you can go on the website and you can also go on the government website. And I just did, that's another story. And they're all in trial till 2023. And it says it right there. So you're part of a trial if you're getting the vaccination. And if that's what you choose, that's what you choose. But they're not they're not on the up and up about it. So there's a lot going on that you might not know about. And honestly, if you want to have a personal discussion, just you and I, on my website, I do have personal one-to-one coaching sessions, and you can go on over there, click on the coaching session. Once you purchase one, honestly, when we get on together, I will be available to you for a Q&A session. I'll even share my screen if you want me to help guide you through, different things that I've found. I'll be happy to get in a discussion with you on, how you feel about these types of things that I, go over in my videos. And if you want to, just, hash it out, vent it out. I would love to coach you on it and we can have a good live discussion. So that's lisampepe.com or awellnessawakening.com. And that is the private coaching session tab up top. You can go over there. Okay. I do hope to see you soon or meet you soon. And on that note, health freedom rocks, and I'll talk to you soon. All righty. Bye-bye for now.